In terms of revisionism, yeah, I remember growing up and being told that revisionists were stupid left-wing idiots who hate America. There are revisionists who spend their time arguing that the American government has actually done a lot of terrible things. I have no problem with that because I am not the American government. There are so many people who get offended when historians criticize the U.S. government. Look, you and the U.S. government are two different things. This has nothing to do with you personally. Stop taking it personally, all right? I promise you the U.S. government does not think you and it are the same thing. So don't be so unhappy about this. A revisionist is simply saying that maybe we didn't get it right the first time through. What are the chances we got everything right the first time through? Not 100%. Not to mention, a lot of times the stories involving wars are told by the victors immediately after the cessation of hostilities. The prejudices and the anger are all still riding really high. Is it likely that under those conditions we're going to get the real story of what happened? I doubt it. In other words, now that the dust has settled, now that passions have cooled, let's go back and look again. Not to mention, half the time, we now have access to documentary materials that were not available to the historians immediately afterward. We now have the papers of such and such Secretary of State, which are available at the Library of Congress, or we have the diaries of this person, or we have volumes and volumes of records of one department after another in some other country that we can now look at and see if it tells the same story or not, or maybe it tells a different story. There's nothing wrong with that. If this were anything other than re-examining wars, re-examining things that governments love to glorify, everyone would think it was just common sense. Of course you have to be a revisionist. It could be that you look at it and you say, we have more evidence now, but the additional evidence we have simply bolsters our original instincts. That's fine. At least you looked. And now you understand it even more thoroughly than you did before. So there's no harm in it. Anybody who genuinely wants the truth has to support revisionism. And after World War I, when the revisionists look back on that, because remember, the official version of the story was Germany was alone responsible for the outbreak of World War I. I mean, get out of here. Are you kidding me? So the historians went back and looked at that. And these were like Sidney Fay and Harry Elmer Barnes and others. They argued differently, but they viewed revisionism as an instrument of peacemaking because they believed that revisionism could help overturn misunderstandings between countries and could overturn prejudices that people have. Once we get the truth out there, we understand each other better. It's more likely that we'll be able to treat each other justly in the future. That was how they looked at it, and that's, to me, honorable.